Hello and welcome back here to the NXTGEN Racing's Toyota GR86 League as we prepare to go racing for the 5th of 7 rounds of competition. We are almost to the end of the season and it has been a wild ride so far in the opening 4 rounds. Of course, there has been some multiple race winners, none more so than Ben Oucher, who has taken 5 victories so far this season across what has been 12 races. Isaac Doble, Nick Clibbins, the only other 2 drivers out there to have taken more than 1 victory to their name. But what a season it has been so far. Okayama, we saw Adam Wilson-Weir take the first pole position of the season at the Japanese circuit. He then converted that into race number 1 victory. William Guthrie found victory lane in race number 2. With Lee Horn coming across the line, victor in the 3rd race of the day. We then headed across to the USA, Portland in particular, and the Portland International Raceway on the March 17th for the 2nd round of competition. Jack Pittas found his car on pole position there. He was unable to convert that into race victory though. Ben Oucher taking the first of many in race number 1. Nick Clibbins came home with his first win of the season in the 2nd race of the day, and Oucher going for the double in the same evening took race victory in race number 3. We then headed across to the Italian countryside, Mugello for the short circuit for round number 3. Isaac Doble found his way to pole position for that one, in which he was able to convert that into race victory. Ben Oucher then took victory in race number 2, followed by the Doble double in race number 3. Hockenheim Ring, which we saw 2 weeks ago. It was the outer layout of that one, of course, and it saw Nick Clibbins on pole position. He was unable to convert it to victory in race number 1. That went the way of Ben Oucher, but Clibbins did take victory in race number 2 with Oucher once again down victory lane in the 3rd race of the day. Now, what's important to note here, Ben Oucher, Isaac Doble, Nick Clibbins, your only double race winners in your first 4 rounds of the season. They are the only drivers to have won a race since the 2nd round. Adam Wilson-Weir, William Guthrie, Lee Horn are the only other winners on the board. They all did it at Okayama. Since Portland, we have only seen victory from Oucher, Clibbins and Doble. Will we see a new name today? Qualifying is different though, with 4 different pole sitters in the previous 4 rounds. Zolder will be our 5th round of competition today. We run the alternate layout of Zolder, which means the final chicane is quicker than that tight chicane that you are used to. The drivers can find a lot of pace through there, carry speed all the way through to the timing line up towards turn number 1. We head to Willow Springs in 2 weeks' time on May 12th for the 6th round of competition. I can't believe it already. Close to it, but on May 26th, the final round of competition, round number 7, will take place at Interlagos. Make sure you are joining us for that one, whether you're watching on the NXTGEN channels or the Joseph Wright Broadcasting channels. And if you want to get involved as well, head across to the NXTGEN Racing Discord. Get yourself down there and get yourself onto the track for the final 2 weeks of competition. It is going to be a fun way to end the season. As I say, it has been a very dominant run to the first 4 rounds of the season for Ben Oucher. 5 victories in 12 races. He is using that good run to pull himself all the way to the top of the championship order into this one. 202 points are on the board for Ben Oucher. He is 22 points clear of Jack Pittas in 2nd place. 30 points clear of Adam Wilson-Weir and Isaac Doble just behind. 4 points separating Wilson-Weir and Doble. They are running close together in this practice session. 7th and 8th position out there right now, so they could make it very interesting between themselves in trying to get some points onto the board to get past each other or ahead of each other. Lee Horn finds himself in 5th position, but once again he won't be here tonight, and a happy birthday to Lee Horn celebrating that one, of course. Jamie Dorey sitting in 6th position will be looking to benefit from his rival Lee Horn's absence today. He'll be looking to try and get into a top 5. William Guthrie just behind in the championship order is also going to look to see if he can find his way up. And even Phil McDougall's not too far back either, with 97 points to his name. Nick Clibbins has 77. He's not been here too often, and of course he has taken 2 victories to his name, so he's certainly not slow. He just hasn't been able to attend all the races. Alan McCain sits in 10th in the championship going into this one. Then it's Nigel Stock, 11th in the championship right now, ahead of Mark Kent. There's a bit of a fight going on in the midfield because it's then only 5 points back to Benjamin Gregory, a further 4 to Ross Gillette, a further 4 to Joshua Downing. It's then a little bit of a hop and a skip to Michael Wade with 31 points. Max Andrews 1 point behind with 30. Matt Gatto with 25. And then Lewis Mason 24. Kyle Thompson 23. Look how close it is there at the bottom end of your top 20. Very close in that championship fight. Adrian Hernandez was sitting in 21st position, 3 points clear of Mark Hughes. Matthew Jordan in 23rd ahead of Mark Sykes. Jack Brown sits in 25th position ahead of Archie Bennett and Dan Beckett getting out for the first time last time out. Jonathan Berry only 2 points to his name, and we will be seeing if any of our new drivers are able to get some points on the board. We've got Stin Waitons here today, looking to see what he is able to do around his home circuit. Of course, racing at Belgium here in Zandvoort. We've got Drew Halloran out there for the first time as well, looking to put some points onto the board. So we'll see if either of those two are able to do anything. And for Waitons, he is sitting in 6th position right now with quite a nice time on the board. Drew Halloran looking to find a little bit of time in this one. But this should be a very fun evening of racing, as the Toyotas have done so since it kicked off a couple of months ago. It's been a lot of fun to get down here every other Tuesday. Of course, we go live every other Tuesday for these races alongside the NXTGEN NXTCC event that happens every other Tuesday. We run on the alternate weeks. So when you don't get your NXTCC fix, you can get your Toyota fix instead. And what great cars these are, especially since they were updated on the iRacing service. They have proved to be one of the best updates to a car post-release that I think that we have seen in a very, very long time. The Toyota GR86 going from a very unpopular machine to one of the most popular on the service when it comes to lower car classes. Of course, outside of your GT3s and your TCRs and them like that, you do get the Toyota GR86s. And if you are new on the iRacing service, the moment you get yourself up into a D license, you can get yourself hot lapping in one of these in the Toyota series. And of course, the Production Car Challenge series as well, where this car has become so much more popular than the Mazda now, really shows you how much this car has improved. The fact that drivers are choosing it much more often over the Mazda that was previously the most popular of all of the cars. But as we prepare to go out racing here for what is the 5th round of competition, 3 races coming your way. Remember the way that this one works. We have the first race set by qualifying, about 15 minutes of action for that one. We then go again, race number 2, another 15 minutes, but you do see your top 15 reversed. Occasionally, a couple of times this season, that has included the whole field. It does not today. We have, looking at my numbers here, 20 drivers prepared to go racing here today, which is lovely. And then we, after we've done race number 2, which will see the top 15 from race number 1 reversed, we then go out racing for 15 minutes, which will then head us into our 25-minute event, there or thereabouts, of course, which will be the entire field inverted for that one, which is always a lot of fun, a lot of carnage, of course, as drivers try to make their way past and find themselves up the order and see what they are able to do in that final race of the day, especially if you've been having a bad evening. You'll find yourself towards the front of that one. It'll give you a great opportunity to pull yourself away at the very front and try to maximise your points at the end of the evening. But we are here at a brilliant circuit. I think that when you think of racing tracks in Belgium, do you think of Zolder? No, you don't. You think of Spa-Francorchamps, of course. It's always the circuit when you hear Belgium racetrack, you go to Spa-Francorchamps. However, the Zolder circuit should not be underestimated at all. It is an absolutely fantastic gem of a circuit. It is tight, though. It is extremely tight around here. Now, of course, we have got the alternate layout, which makes that final chicane a little bit more palatable for our drivers to lap on. However, it is still, you've got couple of really tight sections. You've got a hairpin to deal with as well, and a lot of gravel. It is an old school track. There's a lot of gravel around over that bit, over there being a lot of runoff around the edge of the circuit. Tell you what, Ben Oucher is coming up towards the end of a lap here, and I think we do have enough time because the session went up a little bit late today. Unless Mr. Dory advances the session, I do believe we have enough time that we will get on board a lap with Ben Oucher so that we can have a look at the Zolder circuits here. And as they come around, just remember that this event does have a live safety car out there and a live steward as well, which means that, of course, if there are any incidents, we could see safety cars being called out. Not that I think we've actually seen a safety car yet, have we? In the Toyotas, maybe one. The safety car certainly isn't a common one. I was about to pop on board with Oucher, championship leader. He's come down pit lane though, so we can't get a lap on board with him, unfortunately. However, it does look like Adam Wilson-Weir is about to start a lap here. He certainly is. So let's ride on board here with Adam Wilson-Weir to get you a lap of the Zolder circuit. In towards turn number one, you are going to get all the way over that curbing on the inside, push it onto that slight runoff on the outside of turn number one, up towards turn number two. Just be careful of any traffic rejoining to your inside. There wasn't on this case, but did have someone doing some donuts on the right-hand side. Adam Wilson-Weir, though, comes out turn number two and up towards three. Very easy to push yourself off the circuit into this gravel, and that's what I mean. Look how close that gravel is. There's no room for error in the races to really save yourself over any runoff. Through the chicane, get this wrong, you're going to find yourself bumping very uncomfortably through the chicane, possibly even picking up a slowdown if you're not careful. Over the crest and to the left, we slam on the brakes again for the tightest section on the circuit. It's a right, left, right chicane. Again, you're going to want to keep yourself on the circuit for that one. No awkward bumps though, and you do have a little bit of green turf on the inside of the apexes to cut that corner a little bit like Wilson-Weir did. Over the bridge and up towards your hairpin, your heaviest braking zone on the circuit. It only feels like a 90-degree right when you're out there, but it does turn you about 130 degrees as we then do a little bit of a kink up towards the final chicane. Now, normally you would run forwards and go the steep left, but we go the alternate layout today. We swing off to the left there. Look at that. Wilson-Weir not needing to touch the brakes. Almost full throttle throughout the whole of that complex as well. And that is a lap of the Zolder circuit. As we see Max Andrews is the fastest of your drivers right now in this session. Andrews stepping out for the first time last week at Hockenheimring. He gets back behind the wheel of the Toyota today, looking potentially to find his way up into a provisional pole position in qualifying with that sort of lap time. Remember, we've had 4 different qualifying sessions. 4 different drivers have managed to make their way onto the top of the order in our qualifying sessions so far. Are we going to see our first repeat pole sitter though? I mean, Isaac Doble, Nick Clibbins, both race winners. Pole for Doble at Mugello, pole for Clibbins at Hockenheimring. I mean, Ben Oucher, he's taken 5 victories. No pole position for him yet, but it isn't qualifying where the points are scored, of course. You get your points out of your race sessions. 3 of those today, the 2 15 minutes and the 25-minute races. We're going to see what Ben Oucher is able to do if he can keep that lead at the very top of the order, or whether it is going to change a little bit. Jack Pittas will be looking to try and do something. Pittas, second in the championship, yet to win a race. He has just been consistently near the front of the order, having a great run through this season, just not getting that race victory onto the board as it stands so far. Wilson Weir, Doble, Horn, all race winners. Doble, a double race winner, of course. He took both those victories at Mugello. Clibbins and Oucher are the only drivers to have taken victory at more than one circuit so far this season. It's going to be interesting to see what our drivers are able to do this evening in that championship fight, as we are heading, of course, with 4 rounds completed, 3 rounds left. At the end of today, it's only 2 more rounds to go. Ben Oucher will be looking to try and maximise the points, get that championship possibly done at Willow Springs. Mathematically, it is possible, of course. I don't think he could mathematically win it here, though. I'm trying to think about how... Actually, you know what? Mathematically, he could. If it went all wrong for those behind him, Pittas, Wilson Weir, and Doble, you know, mathematically, technically, Oucher could win today. Realistically, I think we could see an opportunity at Willow Springs for Oucher, but only if he has a really good go at it today. If he has some really good points on the board. He has taken victory every week apart from Okayama. So 5 victories to his name, a victory every week. It's looking like it's going to be a strong weekend for him once again today. But we have to wait until, you know, the end of race 1, race 2, race 3 even, to find out exactly what the results are going to be like. Like I said, the session went up a little bit late today. Therefore, we are running a little bit behind in our sessions, but qualifying will begin shortly in about 5 minutes. It looks like qualifying will begin here around the Zolder circuit. That does mean that, of course, the races will be pushed a little bit later than usual on this Tuesday, and our second race of the day, if you're going to try and keep track of timings, will probably happen at about 9 o'clock BST, and if you're waiting for the final race of the day, that'll probably kick off about 9:30 BST for that one. Like I said, a bit of a later run than usual. We'll try to catch some people to talk to after race number 1 and after race number 2 as usual. We might catch 1 or 2 after race number 3 as well, depending on the time at the end of this evening's session. Right then, we are preparing to go out racing for what is going to be the 5th round of competition, but of course it's the 13th race of the day, of the season. Race number 1 will be today. So they have, even though we've only completed 4 rounds, we have done 12 races, and that is 12 races worth of full points on offer, and a total. You know, we race when we put all of the time together. We race for about an hour every single evening. By the time you get those last laps done in the sessions. So, an hour every evening. We've been racing about 4 hours so far, and what a season it has been for 4 hours of racing. The constant battles. Hockenheimring, last time out, I didn't even know where to look because there were fights going on up the field, down the field, in the middle of the field, everywhere. There was just constant fighting, and genuinely it's so difficult sometimes when you have a class of drivers as skilled as this and as varied as this. And what I mean by that is you do have your drivers that are pushing right at the front every single time. You do have your drivers who are battling at the rear of the field, yes, battling for 16th, 17th position, but there's nothing against that. There have been some fantastic fights at the bottom end of the field. important to remember for this series, which is very different on Next Gen Racing compared to most leagues that are run here, is the fact that there are no classes. All the drivers are in a single class competing for points. Top 15 score points, which means when you have today 21 drivers in the session ready to go into qualifying, you're gonna have 6 drivers who miss out on points. Are they gonna be some of our newcomers? Drew Halloran racing for the first time this evening in this series. Stige Waitons racing for the first time in this series. I mean, Waitons looks like he's going to get some points. He's up in 7th right now in a practice session, half a second off of Max Andrews. But for, you know, Drew Halloran, he's 19th at the moment, looking to try find some time. It's going to be challenging for our drivers to find their way into the points-paying positions. That is certainly true here today. But no matter where you're watching, I hope you that are very excited for this one. If you're watching over on the Next Gen Racing's Facebook page, welcome in. We hope you are having a wonderful evening. Of course, hit that like button on the stream, share it with your friends and family, and hit that follow button on the Facebook page as well if you haven't done so already. It really helps Next Gen Racing out over there. If you're watching on the Next Gen Racing's official YouTube page as well, make sure you hit that thumbs up on the stream and that you subscribe over there as well, so that you don't miss any of the races. And if you're watching on either of the Joseph Wright TV channels, whether that's on YouTube or on Twitch, to make sure you hit the follow, the subscribe, whatever it might be over there, so you're notified when we go live. We'll be back with some touring car action on Joseph Wright Broadcasting on Friday. At Next Gen Racing, though, we'll have the GT3s back out again soon as well. We'll see the NXTGEN out again next Tuesday. So lots of racing going on, both in Next Gen and on Joseph Wright Broadcasting as well. Of course, the GT3s coming to you live on Thursdays, and the NXTGENs alternating on these Tuesday nights with us. So we'll see it next week, and then we'll be back once again for the week after, penultimate round of the competition. I can't believe we're already closing in on that one. I think when you have these alternate weeks, and it's just like, it's a month away, but there's only 2 more weeks after this one. I can't believe it. It's absolutely flown by. Of course, setting off a little bit early after kicking off with the Legends at the beginning. We swapped across to the Toyotas, and it has proved to be some great racing. Not that we didn't get great racing in the Legends, of course, but these Toyotas have produced some really close fights, some wheel-to-wheel action, and you can knock these cars wheel-to-wheel. You can bang their door panels, and they're absolutely fine. They'll keep on going out there, no problem whatsoever. Right then, that is practice over. I have managed to waffle for about half an hour, so I think that we are okay and we're good to go now. So, welcome in. That was the pre-race show here for the Toyota GR86s. We are now heading out. Finally, I think you're saying, is we don't have to listen to the ramblings of a madman. Instead, we can see what qualifying is going to be like for our drivers. As, well, I would say we can see what it's going to be like. They head out behind the solar panels. Obviously, a very focused circuit on producing renewable energy. You see the wind turbines in the distance as well. You've got the solar panels on the middle of the track there. I believe that was one. It wasn't Oucher. That was one of Oucher's teammates finding his way off of the circuit there. It was Lewis Mason finding his way off of the circuit out of turn number 2. As we go into the chicane, we are watching Adam Wilson. We're on his outlap here, but we're actually going to go and jump up a little further on the course. We've got Jamie Dory at the front of the order here. Then we have Ben Oucher just behind him, and Dory is in fact going to let Ben Oucher through. We wanted to ride on board with Oucher earlier in the evening. We were unable to do so because he decided to come down pit lane. So we can get a first qualifying lap here on with Ben Oucher as we jump on board with the full tilt machine. He comes into the final turns. Again, you can just put that throttle fully flat as you head through the alternate chicane. Across the timing line for Ben Oucher. He has yet to get a pole position this season. He was second fastest in the practice session, second only to Max Andrews, and it was less than a tenth that separated them. So could Oucher find something on this one? He doesn't have the toe along the main straight or along this back straight that is going to be helping him out. However, it does mean he isn't going to be slowed down or hindered through the chicanes or through any of the corners by any slower machines. Ben Oucher comes up towards the chicane. He's going to slam onto the brakes. Big hit on that left-hand curb. It really does raise your car into the air. Oucher gets himself through though, warming up his tyres a little bit on the exit, keeps it to the left-hand side of the circuit as he comes into the second chicane. Big old bounce on the inside there. He tucks very hard onto the inside, but it dips a little bit, unsettled the car, and then caught the curbing on the exit through the second right-hander through that chicane as well, up towards your about 130-degree hairpin here to the right-hand side. It doesn't look like it turns as much as it did. It almost looks like a 90-degree bend. It is not. Through the kink and up towards now the alternate chicane, where we can just listen to the power. No brakes needed. A little bit of a lift from Oucher, and then pushing up to the line. But I do believe that Oucher there, through the final corner, did pick up an off track. He did. It was a second. His lap time was a second slower than Jack Pittas, but he did just pick up a an off track with that in the full tilt machine. Jack Pittas, the fastest out there right now in your Type 2 machine. He's looking to try and go onto pole position. He got pole position back at Portland, but he is yet to take victory. He's second in the championship without a victory to his name at the moment. Doy also putting a lap in last time around, but invalid. He also backed out of that one. He picked up an off track earlier on in the lap. Drew Halloran comes across the timing line and up towards turn number 1, trying to get used to this Toyota GR86 while also trying not to get into anyone's way, as passing him through turn number 1 there was, I believe, trying to figure it out here as they come through, Carl Thompson. It was Carl Thompson who made his way past there he also getting onto his first lap of the session with Drew Halloran. They come through turn number 3 and up towards the end of the first sector here as we look over on the Twitch page. Thank you so much, Wes, for the raid over there, and welcome in if you are watching over on the Twitch page to the Next Gen Racing's Toyota GR86 League. We're watching Carl Thompson here on his first qualifying lap to see where he is able to place his 774 machine. Oucher did get a lap time in on the second time of asking, as he goes about half a second slower than Jack Pittas. Talking about Pittas, he is getting a bit of support over on the Facebook there by Robert. So welcome in, Robert, and good luck to Jack indeed. Can he find his first victory of the season here today? Well, I'm sure he'll be hoping to, especially with this sort of lap time early doors in this qualifying session as well. We did take pole, like I said, back at Portland. Unable to take race victory, but second in the championship. Consistency certainly is his thing right now. For Matthew Jordan, he goes fastest overall, and he was the driver that was overtaking both. I mean, that was a very good lap, bearing in mind he had to get past Thompson and past Halloran as well, who have found themselves into 12th and 13th position. We're still waiting for a number of drivers to put in lap times on the board, including the driver who went fastest in the practice session. Max Andrews was the fastest in practice. Can he find his way back to the top of the order here in qualifying? 8.5 minutes left in this session, and our drivers are trying to find their way towards the front, because this circuit is going to be a challenge to overtake on. There's no question about that. It is a tight circuit. When you think about the circuits we've visited already, Hockenheimring. Well, we did the outer layout. You had some heavy braking zones. You had some proper toe on there. You really had the opportunity to move up the order. Mugello, you had the front straight, turn number 1. Portland, you had the front straight. We didn't run the chicane there, so we had the front straight all the way up to turn number 1. And then Okayama, of course, you had the back straight as well. So you've always had circuits that have had a really long straight to really invite you into it. Now, you do have some straights here, but they're followed by really tight corners. You know, the chicanes and the hairpins. Yes, you've got turn number 1, and I think that might be your best place to try and make some moves in these machines. But, again, the Toyotas, they can go side by side very, very well. Max Andrews, 4th fastest in this session. We saw Jamie Dory down pit lane. He's still yet to get a lap time onto the board, as is Joshua Downing. Across the line there for Joshua Downing. Is it going to be a valid lap time for him? It is not. Still invalid lap times for drivers as they're trying to get themselves around this circuit. They're just unable to get it in without running off the track. I was saying in practice, you know, there's no turf around here. It's there's no gravel. Sorry, there is loads of gravel here. You just go a little bit wide. You're going to kick it up. You're going to put yourself on off track. And, of course, in practice, well, that doesn't matter. Your lap times still count. In qualifying, it does matter. You cannot get an off track. You can't even get a 0x in one of these sessions to be able to get yourself a lap time onto the board. And for Ben Oucher right now, it is trouble. He is tumbling down this order, down to 6th position right now. Pittas moves himself back into 2nd position, as he is 0.189 of a second behind Matthew Jordan right now. So he is closing in, trying to find his way back up towards the front. In fact, we'll ride on board with Jack here, because he is quick. He has had some strong races. He's just... That victory has eluded him so far. And we know Pittas is quick. He's been able to win in multiple series that here at Joseph Wright Broadcasting we've covered, whether it's with Type 2, whether it's with NXTGEN. He has been able to find his way to the front. But in these Toyotas, it just hasn't been able to take that step all the way to the top step of the podium so far. Could it happen today? Could he be the first repeat pole sitter of the season? It's gone 4 different ways so far as Pittas finds himself off the circuit. That is going to have invalidated his lap time, and he is going to back out of this one, as is Isaac Doble just behind him on track. That was Jamie Dory going a little bit slowly ahead, as well as just trying to find a little bit of space out around the circuit with 5 minutes left to go in this session. We've still got Drew Halloran, Carl Thompson out there lapping. William Guthrie comes across the timing line and up towards turn number 1 as well. And this is a new colour on the full tilt machine. I've not seen the blue and gold one before, but William Guthrie running around in that one. Probably just trying not to be in the thumbnail coloured car. There is a bit of a running gag at NXTGEN. Before, with Ben Oucher, it certainly was if he got pulled into the commentary booth with me, he was about to have a very bad race. However, we did very recently dispel that bad luck, and he was able to have a very good race after having an interview with us. However, the curse of the thumbnail certainly is one that drivers like to comment on. So we'll see if any of the full tilt machines are involved in some instance. Ben Oucher will be certainly hoping that his machine does not get found, does not find its way into any of these tyre barriers or even the gravel traps that are located around the circuit. 15 lap times on the board. Don't think there's only 15 drivers in this session. In fact, as William Guthrie, sorry, not as William Guthrie, as Joshua Downing gets onto the board, we haven't got lap times from Lewis Mason, Adrian Hernandez, Mark Kent, Jamie Dory, or Nigel Stock. 5 more drivers we are waiting for to get lap times onto the board, and I don't believe that any of them, apart from Dory, are actually out on the circuit right now. So we might be seeing a number of cars starting from the back of the order without times Ben Outra is down pit lane. He does have just enough time to come out if he so pleases, but it looks like Matthew Jordan could potentially find his way to a provisional pole position in this one, and a first pole position of the season, making it 5 different pole sitters in 5 races. That would be an absolutely fantastic statistic. I like my statistics, especially when you can say that there is no one dominant driver. In qualifying, there is no one dominant driver. Ben Outra, however, is proving that he is the dominant force to be reckoned with in the races. 5 victories in 12 races. Will he make it any more at the end of today and go for maybe, I mean, there is the potential, maybe 8 victories in 15. We'll have to find out. Matthew Jordan then getting another lap under his belt, but it was 6/10 slower that time around. Jamie Doy finally got a time onto the board. It was a 1:39.314 for the Next Gen Racing machine, the number 13 machine, league organizer, of course, as well, looking to see if he can find his way up any higher from 11th place right now. Remember, the top 15 will score points in the 3 races that are coming up, and for race number 2, your point scorers, your top 15 from race 1, are going to find themselves flipped around, with your race winner starting in 15th position. Dory getting his lights out, letting drivers know ahead, hey, I am on a flying lap. I'm trying to do the best that I possibly can. That was Isaac Doble jumping out of the way before the corner. It was Mark Hughes jumping out of the way after the hairpin. And into the final corner here for Jamie Dory as he heads into the alternate chicane. Look how much speed they can carry. And I love the body roll that you can see on these Toyotas, as well as Dory crosses the timing line. A great improvement from him. He moves from 11th to 6th position in the qualifying session here. Great improvement. Wayton's running around, the home time hero here, is he's in 10th position, running, of course, the Belgium flag. That's the Belgium driver in the Belgium circuit here of Zolder. We come through the hairpin and up towards the final corners for Wayton's. He's about a second off of Matthew Jordan. If he wants to move up even just 1 position, he's going to need to find about 3/10 of a second, but he is 6/10 of a second clear from 12th behind. Only half a tenth from Dougal, though. Is Wayton's going to find an improvement on this lap? His best is a 39.0. It's a 38.4 from Wayton's. And yes, he finds his way up into 7th position. A great amount of that, 7/10 of a second gained. A huge improvement for Wayton's there. And he does find himself up the order. Matt Gatter is on an outlap here in qualifying. He will not get a lap time onto the board, which means that Gatter, Mason, Hernandez and Kent, all of them will be starting at the back of the order. But we do have a few drivers still trying to complete qualifying laps and see what they can do. I thought Pittas might have found his way through the final few corners. He does not. He is going to come down pit lane, as we also have a little look at Mark Hughes here, as he's coming down towards the timing line. No, he jumps down pit lane as well. How about Sykes? Is he out there? Jamie Doy does improve on his last lap of action as well. And how about for Mark Sykes as he comes up towards the final, towards the timing line? It is an invalid lap on the last lap of asking for Mark Sykes. And finally, the last man to come around will be the man who is starting this one on pole position. Matthew Jordan has got pole position for the first time in what is going to be a great evening of racing. Matthew Jordan is our 5th different pole sitter in 5 races. Is he going to be able to find his way to race victory? So far this season, Jack Pittas is your only driver who has got pole position and has been unable to convert that into a race victory. Is Pittas going to find his way to victory today? He starts 3rd championship leader, Oucher, starts alongside Jordan on the front row. He'll be starting in second. Max Andrews, who's the fastest in practice, is going to be starting in 4th position here. It's going to be a tight fight for all of the positions. There is absolutely no doubt about it as this qualifying session ticks over to a close, and we will get your official qualifying qualifying results and your starting order onto the screen in just one moment's time. As I say, 18 drivers managing to get across the line there and put lap times in. 4 drivers did not, as we will have 22 Toyotas prepared to go out racing, as that was, I believe that was Klibbins there, who reversed his way through the pit wall to come into pit entry. And if I'm not mistaken, that is an unsafe pit entry. I would reckon, anyway, that there would have been some sort of penalty for that one had it been the race. Anyway, 9 laps are going to be on the board for the first of our 3 races today. And the race is going to start with Matthew Jordan on pole position for the first time this season. Ben Oucher will be starting alongside in second. Third is going to go the way of Jack Pittas. Max Andrews will be in 4th ahead of Jamie Dory. And then Isaac Doble in 6th position just behind. 7th is going to go the way of Waytons ahead of Adam Wilson-Weir. Benjamin Gregory from 9th ahead of Nick Klibbins. Phil McDougall from 11th, and Mark Hughes will be starting this one in 22nd position. 22nd and 12th position. I don't know why I said 22nd there. 12th position. William Guthrie will be starting in 13th ahead of Mark Sykes. Joshua Downing will be starting in 15th ahead of Carl Thompson. Nigel Stock from 17th. And Drew Halloran is the last driver put a time on the board. 18th position. What that does mean is we're going to have 2 empty grid spaces before we get our drivers that did not put our lap times on the board. Mark Kent will be starting in 21st position. Adrian Hernandez will be starting in 22nd. Lewis Mason from 23rd. And Matt Gatter will be on the grid in 24th position. But of course, they will all be promoted up 2 spaces at the start of this one. Right then, our drivers are going to prepare to go racing. As I say, it is going to be 9 laps of asking in the first 2 races of the day. It will then be slightly longer for race number 3. And I always like to hazard a guess on this one. Let's go with 14 laps. That's my guess for the final race of the day that we are going to get. Right then, we prepare to go racing here at the wonderful Zolder circuit. 9 laps on the board. Drivers look up towards turn number 1. The lights are out and we are green for round number 5 here at Zolder as we head up towards turn number 1. It's a great launch off the line from Ben Oucher, who has already managed to make his way through and into the lead. Behind, it is side by side through the midfield pack as they try to find any position that they possibly can, as that is Adam Wilson-Weir to the inside of Nick Klibbins here as we come out of turn number 2 and up towards turn number 3, side by side, up towards the front as well as Pittas also trying to follow his championship rival of Oucher in towards the lead here, as that's a big hit in the background. Is everyone going to avoid Waytons? Is it Waytons in the back? No. Yes, it is. Everyone manages to avoid Waytons, who goes out into the wall. A heavy hit who had to get that car turned around. It looked like he just caught the gravel, lost the rear end, and it was a massive smash into the wall. This is contact here as Guthrie is going to go up the inside of Gregory. There's a little bit of knock behind as well as drivers really pushing for any position they possibly can through the chicane. Nick Klibbins finds himself off the circuit there, and Jack Pittas finds himself falling down the order. He's got to slow down to serve out of that chicane. It means he now is at the back of the order. He hits his teammate, Adam Wilson-Weir. Last thing you want to do in a race session is come together with your teammate. Isaac Doble is side by side with Jamie Dory as we head up towards the final chicane here. Doble has the overlap over Dory and gets that that position done. Dory's rear end kicks out just a little bit out of the final turn, but they do manage to keep it all together. Dory on that wider line early doors, but Doble gets it covered up towards turn number 1 as they settle themselves in single file behind here as well in towards turn number 1. Matt Gatto goes very wide into the opening turn. Carl Thompson finds his way through. Here comes Mark Sykes on the outside as well. And then that looks like Mark Hughes might be trying to do something. It is a fight for the lead though. Ben Oucher, Max Andrews, Matthew Jordan. Andrews starting 4th in this one, has got up to 2nd and looking to try and take the lead. It is going to be all over the rear into the chicane. They bounce their way through, but Doble there getting a bit too much curbing for his liking, as now he's got Dore back all over the rear bumper as we head up towards the braking zone. Is Max Andrews going to look to try and make that move? No, he stays behind as we jump behind as well. That's a side from Doble. Dore goes through and Isaac Doble finds himself onto the grass, and for a second lap, Pittas picks up a slowdown through the chicane that he is going to have to serve. What was a really good qualifying position is finding himself down the order. Max Andrews looking for the lead, dives to the inside of Ben Oucher into the hairpin. Matthew Jordan tucks in behind Oucher, looking to get past Max Andrews up into the final chicane here on the second lap of asking. It's going to be a little bit of glass from Andrews through the chicane, but he keeps himself on the racing surface as we head in towards turn number 1. This is the fight towards the back here. Drew Halloran keeping ahead of Carl Thompson and Mark Hughes as they come over the timing line. Back towards your front though, because it is going to be almost 3 wide with Matthew Jordan, Jamie Dory and Adam Wilson-Weir. Wilson-Weir to the inside of Jamie Dory out of turn number 2, and he keeps his nose in. But Dory can close that door. There wasn't quite enough of an overlap to really do anything between them. It's side by side here though. This is Phil McDougall on the left hand side of the track, Benjamin Gregory on the right hand side of the track. As we head into the chicane, it is going to be still side by side, but McDougall keeps himself ahead. Pittas looks to try and carry the speed there as Gregory was slow through the chicane. He does a massive swerve to the right-hand side. Jack Pittas back up the order now as he's on a recovery drive into 9th. Can he keep it on track this time through the chicane without picking up a slowdown? He carries his speed. Jack Pittas not picking up a slowdown this time around. Jamie Dory looking to get onto the podium to the outside of Matthew Jordan. He cannot get that long way round. Will have to remain behind. Ben Oucher has opened up the gap now at the front to 1.1 seconds ahead of Max Andrews, looking for victory number 6. Max Andrews looking for first win of the season. Remember, since the first round at Okayama, only Ben Oucher, Nick Clemens and Isaac Doble have actually won after round number 1. So Portland, Mugello, Hockenheimring all been won by the same 3 drivers. It's only since round number 1 is the only time we saw anyone else winning. Joshua Downing is going to have to come down into pit lane to sort out a black flag. He pulls over to the side there to let drivers through so he doesn't hinder anyone on his turn in towards pit lane on the next time around. Right then, we're going to take this quick breather here to jump back onto what was the opening lap of asking. This is Wayton's. What happened here for Wayton's? It was just over the gravel, lost the rear end, a massive smash, and everyone jumps out the way and avoids. Very fortunate that that was not any bigger than it was. Like there was no other driver involved as we go back live. Wayton's finds himself into the wall for the second time this race. He's at a standstill as he needs to get that car turned around. Broken right front suspension. He'll be back down pit lane. That was the moment we made live. It wasn't another replay. It was the moment that we went back live that happened. Right, William Guthrie looking to get past Doble. Can't do it. Behind, it is Pittas. Still trying to find his way back up the order. He's past Gregory, but he is struggling to find his way past Phil McDougall for 8th position at the moment. The gap between Ultra and Andrews was a second. it's down to 4/10. So keep an eye on that one, because Andrews could have another bite at Altra, especially with the fastest lap of the race. We are already, though, coming up to halfway through this one, flying by these races, as this is going to be Gregory to the inside of Pittas. There's a little bit of a nudge between them, but they make their way through turn number 1. Pittas stays ahead. He goes wider for turn number 2. Gregory broke just a little bit earlier to try and get the switch across to the inside. What a great little move there from Gregory, but he does stay behind for the time being in 10th position. Carl Thompson, the last of your drivers inside your points right now, needs to keep Mark Sykes at bay. That's not just for points, it's for in the pole position in race number 2 as well. Gregory still over the rear end of Jack Pittas in their fight for 9th position. They've dropped off a little bit to Phil McDougall with their ongoing fight there as well. We now have a little bit of a look back towards your front. This is Matthew Jordan. He's 0.6 off of Max Andrews, who's half a second off of Ben Oucher. We head on to the brakes for the hairpin and up towards the end of the lap. Jordan getting a bit to the inside there, bouncing over what was not the curbing, it was actually the grass that bumps up a little bit on the inside there of the hairpin. We go in towards final corner. Joshua Downing has now served his penalty on pit entrance. Waiton's picked up a penalty, trying to sort out his damage. Yet again, that is Waiton's pulled up in pit lane. Of course, we should see him heading back out in race number 2 and giving it a go in the second race of the day. It's always great about these, as you do have 3 races. If it all goes wrong in race number 1, well, don't you fret. There's a couple more races coming up after that one. We come through the first couple of corners then as we head through in this lead battle, but we go back because Benjamin Gregory, after being after attacking Jack Pittas for quite some time, he has been overtaken by Nick Clibbins. What has happened here to Benjamin Gregory up at turn number 1? He pushes himself wide into the gravel, wobbles himself, and Clibbins, avoiding any contact, finds himself around the outside of turn number 2. So after piling the pressure on Pittas, he falls down the order. For Pittas, this is not a race that he wants to go this direction. However, race number 2, if it was to end the way it is now, Pittas would find himself in, 7th on the grid? Oucher would find himself in 15th. Beneficial there for Jack Pittas. We know that Pittas has been able to score the points through consistency, not through race wins. For Ben Oucher, he has had some great consistency with the race wins, but when he's not winning, occasionally he has fallen down. I think it was last week at Hockenheimring, might have even been Mugello, where he scored a pointless race as well in one of those 3 events, because he just finds himself getting caught up in a couple of issues. In fact, I think Portland happened, didn't it? He won race 1, no points in race 2, and he won race 3. So not the best of results all the time. However, he's looking to try and take win number 6. Max Andrews is looking to take win number 1. 3 laps to go as they head on to the 7th of 9 laps of asking here. And with the sun shining around the Belgium circuit of Zandvoort, the racing has been spectacular as always up and down the field, and it is only the first of our 3 races today. We head up towards the chicane with Ben Oucher leading, Max Andrews behind, chasing on down, looking to see what he is potentially able to do, as you can just see how bumpy it is through that chicane. All 4 drivers taking various racing lines through the chicane, but all of them getting the bumps and getting some very aggressive oscillations in the cars there. Max Andrews trying to maximise the width of the circuit, went a little bit to the inside of the chicane. Doesn't look like it has picked up any sort of slowdown or penalty for him, which is excellent news. Back to this fight. Well, this is Benjamin Gregory. Who is that chasing? It is Jack Pittas. They have changed positions again. Gregory has got back past Clibbins and has made his way past Pittas as well. What has happened here? I think Pittas has found his way off of the circuit, the chicane. Is it another slowdown? It is another slowdown for Jack Pittas. That is 3 slowdowns at the same corner all race long. We go, though, to your race lead. Onto the 8th lap of Asking. It was 4 cars for the race lead. It's 4 wide up towards turn 2 for just a moment here. It is Ben Oucher leading. A little bit of contact with Andrews there. Sets him wide. Dory, for a moment, looked to go on the inside. Didn't want to go 3 wide. Matthew Jordan finds his way up to 2nd. Jamie Dory into 3rd. And Max Andrews finds himself now at the rear end of this train of drivers. That came from absolutely nowhere from Matthew Jordan. Really took advantage of that. And for Max Andrews, he falls back to where he started. Can Matthew Jordan find his way back to where he started? He got pole position. Can he win the race for the first time this season? Is Ben Oucher going to take win number 6 to continue extending his championship? It is a good exit for Oucher. It is slow for Jordan. It backs up Jamie Dory and invites Max Andrews to the inside. Dory and Andrews now are going to go side by side up towards the hairpin as we approach the final lap of Asking. Andrews does make the move through. Jamie Dory in 4th position once more as we come up towards the timing line. Ben Oucher leads the way. Is this the way that it is going to end next lap? Last lap seemed to be the best opportunity for all of our drivers to do something. I think if Jordan doesn't get attacked here by Max Andrews in towards the first couple of corners, he could try to do something up towards the end of the lap. We come up towards turn number 2. Andrews goes to the inside. Jordan doesn't need to change his racing line. He can keep it to the inside of turn number 2. He's keeping it close to the rear end of Ben Oucher. In fact, he looks towards the inside, and Matthew Jordan's to the inside of Ben Oucher into turn 3, fighting for the lead. There's a little bit of a nudge for Max Andrews. Jordan wobbles a little bit. Andrews now is going to try and get up the inside of Jordan, up towards chicane. Jordan is going to drop down to 3rd. Andrews is not going to be able to fight for the lead. Dory's going to come back in, and Ben Oucher with that will have been gifted the race win, because there's no way these drivers behind can catch up now. Matthew Jordan backs out of the fight to 4th position. Adam Wilson-Weir just behind here could try and do something now to get up into the top 4 as well as we come up towards the hairpin. Jamie Dory, slow down, has to back out of it, drops down to 5th position. That means we are back into a fight for the podium. Matthew Jordan, Adam Wilson-Weir. Jordan goes deep. Wilson-Weir switches across. Jamie Dory comes back into fight as well as we come up towards the timing line. It is going to be the alternate chicane left to go here in the fight for the podium. Dory and Jordan side by side, but Dory comes out ahead. But it is Ben Oucher with win number 6. Max Andrews taking 2nd. Ahead of Jamie Dory over the line. We watched the fights coming on behind. Jack Pittas falling behind Clibbins by the end of that after what was a very strong 3rd position start. Jack Pittas finds himself down in 11th place at the end of that one. But what a fight that was, going on to lap number 8 with that alternate, that 3 wide. It was absolutely fantastic to witness there. Here it is once again. This is how it all happened. The four cars fighting for the lead onto the penultimate lap of Asking. It was absolutely fantastic to watch, and look at this. It's just amazing to see this fighting going on, and that's only the first of 3 races today. We've got this 2 more times, with the last time being the longer race as well. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. But with that all being said and done, then let's have a look at our race results. We'll update you in the top 10 in the championship as well. Ben Oucher won that one by 0.7 of a second over Max Andrews in the end. Oucher taking what is win number 6 this season. Jamie Dory came home third ahead of Matthew Jordan. Adam Wilson-Weir in fifth. Isaac Doble coming home in sixth position ahead of William Guthrie and Phil McDougall. Benjamin Gregory in ninth position ahead of Nick Clibbins, rounding out your top 10. Jack Pittas fell from third on the grid to 11th, but he will be starting race number 2 from 5th. Hopefully he'll have a bit of a better go at it. Nigel Stock coming home in 12th position ahead of Lewis Mason. Mark Hughes in 14th ahead of Carl Thompson. Matt Gatter in 16th with Drew Halloran in 17th, just missing out on points in his first race of the season. Mark Sykes coming home in 18th. And then out of the race, of course, with issues, Joshua Downing and Waitons in 19th and in 19th and 20th position, which is a shame for both of them. Of course, Downing picking up a penalty, and Waitons, after that first lap accident, once we watched that replay, we went back live and he crashed into another wall. So a real shame for Waitons in his first race of the season as well, in his home race of the season. Let's have a look what that does then to the championship, the top 10 in the championship. Ben Oucher will have 227 points to his name, ahead of Jack Pittas with 185 now. That gap increasing significantly, 42 points between them going into the second race of the day. Adam Wilson-Weir finds himself in third position, 6 points clear of Isaac Doble. Jamie Dory finds his way past Lee Horn for 5th position. William Guthrie not too far behind now, neither is Phil McDougall. Nick Clemens, if he can find some amazing amount of points in the final 2 races, could get himself past Lee Horn. Likely, though, that he'll stay behind at the end of this one. And Nigel Stock is rounding out your top 10 at the moment. We'll keep you fully up to date after race number 2 in the championship as well. And then we will have a look at the championship at the end of the evening. And we'll look through the whole of the championship for that one. Before we head to our break, though, we are going to have a quick word with one of our drivers out of that one, because it was fantastic racing all around. Of course, up and down the field, we saw some absolutely brilliant action out there. Ben Oucher coming home for what was a victory, a 6th victory of the season. However, it's behind. It was just as close with the fighting. And I will have a little bit of a look here, see if we can catch one of the drivers that was included in one of those fights. In fact, we will have a word with the man himself. Out of that one, Jamie Dory. Jamie, you had an absolutely fantastic fight going on there for the race victory, especially going on to the penultimate lap. It was constantly trading positions. Talk us through the end of that one.
Yeah, so I was just, I basically was sat behind them all watching them, saving tyres to mount an attack, and was a bit too careful to the car on the outside in the second chicane and got a slowdown, so that put ends to that, and then just had to try and get on the podium, which I fought my hardest for. So, you know, we've got 2 more races. I think we've got the pace in the car, and we'll see how it goes.
We saw going on to the penultimate lap, you almost decided to go 4 wide, even 3 wide. You backed out of it, though, instead of trying to thread the needle. Was that just worrying about what could happen? Were you trying to save it? Maybe you knew that you could have a good result and you didn't want to ruin it?
Thing is it's trying to get into the other drivers' heads. Unless I know a move's on, I try and be unpredictable, but I'm not going to go for something outlandish. So it's one of them that making it 3-4 wide and then backing out early. They're all going to run deep, and hopefully you can carry their momentum to make the break. So it's all like mind games and trying to work out where I am, what I'm doing. So yeah, you know, it is thought out, even though it is madness, if that makes sense.
Wow, it was absolutely fantastic to watch the racing. We can't wait to see it 2 more times, Jamie.
Yeah, no, be a good one. I'll speak to you soon.
Jamie Dory there, coming home 3rd position in the end. He talked about the fact that he almost had it for that fight. He had to back it out, of course, with the slowdown, but a great fight going in on all of that one. We will be back in about 5 minutes' time here at Next Gen Racing as we take a momentary pause here around Zandvoort and we prepare for the second race of action. It is going to be another 9-lap race, your top 15 reverse. So make sure you've got your popcorn, you've got your drinks, because race number 2 is going to be even more action-packed than race number 1. We'll be back in just a moment's time, so don't go anywhere. Hello and welcome back here at Next Gen Racing for the Toyota GR86 League. We are getting ready for the second race of the day. We have another 9-lapped race coming your way. It'll be about 15 minutes of racing action once more, and then we will be getting down onto the grid for the final race of action. Will be about 25 minutes length, of course. Now, we are going to see the top 15 drivers for this race reverse, which means that Carl Thompson is going to find himself on pole position for the second race of the day. Mark Hughes is going to find himself all the way up in second. I mean, Lewis Mason, he's got some good pace. He's going to start in third. Jack Pittas fell down the order from third on the grid. He's going to start in fifth in this one. Previous race winner, Nick Clemens, he'll be starting in sixth in this one. Isaac Doble, we did not mention Doble really at all in race number one. Well, he came home in sixth position in that one, and he will find his way onto the grid in, I believe, it would be 10th position on the grid for him. Ben Oucher, of course, taking victory for the 6th time this season in race number one. Well, he is going to find his way to 15th on the grid in this one after winning race number one. He's going to have a bit of work to do, but moving through the order has never really been an issue for our drivers. But this is a very different circuit to the ones that we have travelled at previously, of course. Lots of long straights, lots of slipstreaming opportunities. Really, turn number one is your biggest opportunity here, I would say, in terms of making quick passes. But we have seen some really audacious moves into the hairpin and through the alternate chicane as well. That chicane really setting it up for drivers to push as hard as they possibly can. Of course, when we go to Willow Springs, even inside Goss, we're going to have a lot more overtaking opportunities. Zolder, I think, is going to be your most challenging one on that calendar, which does make it a very interesting one, of course, especially when you now come to inverted grids, where you've got your fast drivers finding their way towards the, well, in this case, towards the rear end of the pack, not at the rear end of your pack. Race number two, though, we are going to see race number three, we are going to see a fully inverted field of drivers. So what that does mean is we're going to see our race winner from this second race of the day starting from the back of the field in the final race. Right then, drivers have a couple of minutes to get themselves down onto the track, and we talked to Jamie Dory at the end of race number one as he had a lovely little fight towards the front of the entire field. Back towards the rear end of the field, though, we saw some good fighting. Well, mid-end of the field, of course, we saw some good fighting. Jack Pittas involved in that fight going on with Nick Clemens. Benjamin Gregory even was up there. I'd love to talk to Benjamin, but because he had some really good fighting going on there, but doesn't look like we will. Tell you what, though, we will have a quick word with one of our previous winners of the season. Nick, you managed to come home in that one in P number 10. You had a little bit of a fight going on. It hasn't been your strongest result, but it does mean that you're going to find yourself in 6th on the grid. So how are you going to approach number 2?
Not get slow down. I think that would be the start.
Yeah, it definitely looked like slowdowns were an issue for a number of drivers out there, yourself included. It cost you a lot of time. So do you think that if you're able to keep it on the track this time, it's going to be easy to make your way through, or do you think it's still going to be a really challenging circuit to make those overtakes?
It's going to be challenging. The guys are fast. It's going to be what it's going to be. I'll try not get slowdowns, just try and keep it on the track, hit the apexes and try my best, really.
Right, we'll see what you can do in race number 2, Nick. Let's see if you're able to find that victory, because both times you've taken victory, it has been in race number 2. So we'll see if it happens again.
Commentator's curse, hopefully not.
Right, Nick, good luck.
Thank you.
Nick Clibbins there, coming home in 10th place, as I said, starting 6th on the grid in this one. But yeah, a statistic just to note there, both Portland and Hockenheimring was when Nick managed to take home victory in race number 2 of the day in both of those. Of course, he took pole last time out to Hockenheimring. He wasn't able to win race number 1. He did win race number 2. Will it happen again here? Well, I mean, in some ways, he'll be having his fingers crossed and hoping so. But what we do note is every single week, your race 1 winner has never won race number 2. However, apart from round number 1, your race 1 winner has always won race number 3. So let's see if that statistic keeps on going. We should see a new name onto the order here for race number 2, though. Is it going to be a new name or a repeat winner? Kyle Thompson is going to start this one at the very front of the order ahead of Mark Hughes. Lewis Mason will be starting from 3rd ahead of Nigel Stock. Jack Pittas from 5th on the grid ahead of Nick Clibbens in 6th. Benjamin Gregory will be starting in 7th with Phil McDougall in 8th. William Guthrie will be starting in 9th ahead of Isaac Doble in P10. Adam Wilson-Weir will be in 11th ahead of Matthew Jordan in 12th position. Jamie Dory will be in 13th and Max Andrews in 14th. Ben Oucher will be starting in 15th position ahead of Matt Gatter. Drew Halloran will be starting in 17th ahead of Mark Sykes. Joshua Downing will be starting in 19th and Waitons will be starting in 20th. Downing and Waitons out of race number 1. Of course, penalties for Downing dropped him down into pit lane and out of the race. Waitons, it was 2 incidents that caused some damage that had to be repaired, and then a penalty on pit entrance as well for Waitons, meaning that he didn't have the best of debut races this season. What, however, is going to happen here in race number 2? Well, Kyle Thompson is going to find himself at the very front of the order for this one. Like I say, we are going to see another 9 laps of racing action around the Zolder circuit. It is going to be Mark Hughes from 2nd on the grid. Lewis Mason from 3rd on the grid this time ahead of Nigel Stock and Pittas in that 5th position. Pittas started 3rd in race number 1, fell down the order. Can he keep himself up ahead this time? We prepare to go racing. 9 laps on the board. And we are green and away here as drivers head up towards turn number 1. Are we going to keep it all clean as we go into the first turn? It was a single car accident in race number 1 at the exit of turn number 3. We go into the opening corner here around Zandvoort. Kyle Thompson keeps the lead. Pittas straight to the inside, looking to try and find any position he can early on in this one. He's fighting for 3rd position right now to the inside. It's a lot of weaving and diving behind, trying to find any open gap that drivers can make their way through at the early stages. Isaac Doble side by side with William Guthrie. There's a little bit of a nudge and a bang, but Isaac Doble sticks it to the right-hand side. It is going to be Guthrie on the inside here, up towards the chicane, and it is then going to be Max Andrews trying to find his way in through that one. Phil McDougall was the car that found himself into the wall, trying to avoid the massive accordion effect under the braking there. He finds himself hard into that outside wall and fallen right down to the back of the order in this one. Jamie Dory has got Matthew Jordan to his outside here, but it is going to be position for Jordan, and how comes Ben Oucher trying to find his way up this order as well as we come out of the chicane and up towards the hairpin. Up ahead, it is side-by-side action up towards the hairpin for the top 5 positions, and it's contact, and it is going to be a lot of cars involved in that one. Lewis Mason finds himself knocked out of what was a very strong top 5 position, down outside the top 10 now. It was Nigel Stock who finds himself all the way to the back of that one. He was the one that missed the got nudged, I think it was, more than missed his braking point. He was the one that got nudged up towards that hairpin right there. Lap number 1 is over and done with, and there have been a lot of changes on the board. Max Andrews has gained 8 positions on the opening lap of asking, alongside Isaac Doble, who's gained 6. They are your biggest movers. Jamie Doy, Ben Oucher, they are fighting out right now for the back outside of the top 10 positions, 11th and 12th. They are fighting for right now, but Oucher is up to 11th, 4 positions up on the start of this one. Lewis Mason down 10, your biggest loser. That is, of course, because of the contact at the final the final hairpin, I should say. Drew Halloran under attack here from Joshua Downing. He finds his way to the left-hand side. They do seem to settle it all in, though, in towards the braking zone, bouncing over the curbing. And here comes Benjamin Gregory to try and hold on past Max Andrews into the second chicane. He has that inside line. It's a little bit of a nudge on the rear end. Andrews now on the wider line, but can carry the speed. Wilson Weir trying to keep the inside line behind Gregory, but that line just wasn't working out for him. It is side by side in multiple positions here, but Gregory is holding on to the inside of the hairpin. A little bit of a nudge behind yet again Matthew Jordan on the rear end of Wilson Weir, but this time everyone faces the right way. No one finds himself off of the circuit as we come up towards the final chicane. It is going to be Benjamin Gregory ahead of Max Andrews for 5th position right now. You're leading 4-5. Hughes, Pittas, Thompson and Doble. As that is Jamie Dory around in the background. Jamie Dory rolls over. Collected. Multiple cars collected. Even more. There is no way this is not a safety car. Jamie Dory finds his way back onto 4 wheels and going around again. But look at the damage here on Waiton's again. Mark Sykes in that one as well. If the safety car is called here, which it has to be, there are so many cars limping around. Drivers will now be fighting all the way to the timing line where the safety car will be. Behind here is Benjamin Gregory and Adam Wilson Weir. They're side by side again here as they come through the left-hander as we come up towards the chicane, I should say. Nick Clibbins trying to get past Max Andrews. They continue to fight here. Andrews looking to still move his way up the order. Clibbins once again falling down. Safety car has exited pit lane. We are going to be under the safety car conditions here. Once drivers have got to the end of their current lap, they will have to race to the timing line, and the position that they have at the timing line will be their position onto the safety car. And it looks like Jack Pittas is going to be the man leading on the hunt for what could be a first win of the season. Jack Pittas will lead onto the safety cars ahead of Isaac Doble. Clibbins goes sideways through the final corner as it's 3 wide for position onto the safety cars, but it looks like Clibbins maintains ahead of Guthrie, maintains ahead of Andrews in 8th, 9th and 10th position. The rest of the drivers behind, all filing into this one. Right. We're going to have to take a bit of a gander back at all of this. What happened, Jamie Dory? Let's ride on board actually here to find out what happened for Jamie Dory. He found himself going end over end out of the final corner. It looked like he caught just a bit too much of the grass on the outside of the corner, which then knocked him down the field, of course, and then just collected. What happened out of the final corner here for Jamie Dory? It's a little bit of slide up ahead. It's contact with Ben Outria. The contact with Outria is then what sends him across the road. And then end over end over end. I really wish we got a bit of a better look at all of that. We can see the accident continuing on there, but I really wish we got a better view of all of that. Waiton's got involved at the very last moment in that one as well. Let's see if we can go back with Waiton's. And see what it was on board Waiton's out of that one, because that was a big accident. I mean, we saw rollovers in the Legends. That's the first time I've seen a rollover in the touring cars. It's the first in the touring cars in the Toyotas. It's the first time also, I think, in a long time we've seen. He avoids it. He avoids it, and then Waiton's, how unlucky he avoided that first 2 bits and all of that. And then just missed out at the last bit of it. How about Mark Sykes? He was just behind Waiton's. He was collected by Waiton's. There's the slide. There's the rollover. What I'm trying to figure out is, did someone hit Dory? And there's the collection for Sykes. Did someone actually hit Dory? Because I don't think anyone hit Dory riding board the car here for Dory. He hit the wall. Dory hit the wall. He was collected after the roll, but Jamie Dory hit the wall, which then sent him tumbling. It looks like Lewis Mason was caught up in that one, just behind. There it is. There's the roll in the background, and then he was the one that Waitons ended up going into. It looks like we might be able to get, from this camera angle, a bit of a better view here on what happened to Jamie Dory's rollover from an off-board perspective. There's the contact with Ben Oucher. The bad luck continues for Oucher in race number 2. There was the contact further, and then there's the rollover, and a big slam at the end of that one as well. Right, we go back to live pictures. We have our safety car leading the way here. And looking back towards the rest of your field of drivers. We do have Waitons back out on track. He's looking to catch up. Dory's already on the rear end of this train of drivers. Mason is back out. So is Mark Sykes. So they will come through. As, We say about the, I was saying earlier about the bad luck of the thumbnails, the thumbnail curse. Ben Oucher has escaped the commentator's curse with getting pulled into an interview. However, he does not escape the thumbnail curse. Neither does Lewis Mason in that. The safety car looks... Oh, it sounded like for a moment he was pulling away, but I don't think the safety car is pulling away. Are we going to get another lap under safety car here, or are we going to go for 4 laps of racing? Are we going to get another one and go for 3 laps? We'll see. I think the safety car will probably pull out after the hairpin if he's going to pull away. It looks like we are going to be getting another lap under safety car here. Well, that will do. The safety car is not here to allow drivers to catch up. This is one thing that we should say. The safety car is here to just to control, well, to create safety. Obviously, there are a lot of damaged cars out there on the circuit. However, because we are going to be going an additional lap under the safety car here, it does mean that Lewis Mason, who was 21 seconds behind this pack, and Sykes, who's a further 11 seconds, they are going to get an additional lap to come in this time. So that is good news for our drivers as we come through turn number 1. But we are going to get the safety car in this lap. What that does mean is we'll be going back racing on to lap number 7. We're going to have 3 laps of racing action. And if anyone in chat can remember the last time we got a safety car, that would be great, because I don't think we got one at Hockenheimring. We may have got one at Magello. I don't even think we got one at Magello. Portland might have been the last time we got one, if we even got one there. If I'm not... Do you know what? My memory serves me correct, which it doesn't often. I think this might be the first safety car of the season. It was certainly the biggest crash we've had of the season. It's the first rollover we've had of the season. And it goes into the 5th round of 7, almost towards the end here. The safety car finally coming out. Of course, this is one of the awesome things about any of the Next Gen Racing Leagues, a safety car that is driven by a real driver. It is called out by our live stewarding team. It does mean that they are out there lapping right now in the Aston Martin. In fact, we'll have to have a little look at that that car, that safety car at the very front of this one. It's not often that we get to see that this season, so it is nice to have the safety car out there lapping around once more. As we look back towards Jack Pittas. Now, Pittas got pole position at Portland. He was unable to take race victory out of that one. The question is he going to be able to take victory for the first time today? He's going to have to keep previous race winner Isaac Doble behind at bay. The safety car pulls off at the front, and it is going to be Jack Pittas now who is in control of the field as the safety car enters pit lane. Pittas is going to be the one who makes the call when he goes green flag racing, and he is going to go green flag racing before we enter the final chicane. Pittas wants to put some space between himself and Doble. Mark Hughes wants to try and maybe find a way past Carl Thompson from third position, and after finding himself upside down, Jamie Dory gets to the inside of Nigel Stock on the restart here through turn number 2. It is side by side between Joshua Downing and Drew Halloran. Downing on the outside line. McDougall looking now to try and tuck his nose to the inside and move his way up into 13th position past Downing. Remember, Downing didn't finish race number 1 after getting a penalty. He found himself out of the race early on in that one after just a few laps. We've only got 3 laps of racing, which means that drivers are going to be pushing extremely hard. A couple of laps under safety car does mean that some of our drivers, including Matthew Jordan, what a double overtake from Matthew Jordan there, who just jumped the curb and got past Gregory and Wilson Weir, who were side by side. It is side by side, 2 by 2 behind, cars finding themselves off of the circuit, and we have a pile-up. Nick Clibbins, Benjamin Gregory are the 2 that find themselves around at the exit of the chicane. Mark Hughes here looking to try and move onto a podium position as we approach the penultimate lap of asking. Another accident into the chicane. Phil McDougall and Joshua Downing, second race on the trot. He has had some bad luck in this one. At the end of the race, we're going to have a number of things to watch back on this restart lap, because there's been a number of incidents for our drivers. You can see where your favourite drivers are on the left-hand side right now. But this is Ben Oucher fighting to try and get past Max Andrews. It is 4 wide again behind, up towards turn number 1, and it's contact, and Drew Halloran is the driver who comes off worst after potentially getting points in race number 2. It is suspension damage for Halloran. He is trying to get his car going the right way, but that is suspension damage, although Halloran there, not what you want to see, intentionally reversing back into Benjamin Gregory. I will, on broadcast, say Halloran, no. Right then, we come up towards the first chicane in the fight that has Ben Oucher and Max Andrews in it. Oucher tries to go out the outside of Gatta, and Andrews tries to take full advantage. He almost got past Gatta as well, but he does get past Ben Oucher as we come up towards the chicane here. Max Andrews on the rear end of Gatta as we head into the chicane. And up towards the end of the lap, Pittas has got a 1.5 second advantage over Isaac Doble as we approach the white flag lap. Carl Thompson here could be under attack from Matthew Jordan. Jordan finds his way to the inside, up into 4th position. Jordan started this race in 12th. He's moved up a huge number of positions, as has Doble, who started in 10th. He's up into 2nd right now after a quiet race number 1. He has got a lot of work to do on the final lap. That was Mark Hughes off the circuit. Did he hit the wall there? His car looks okay, but here comes Matthew Jordan for a podium position. Matthew Jordan finds himself onto the podium fighting with Mark Hughes. Hughes has got the outside line. Jordan on the inside line. Jordan is going to keep his racing line done as Hughes tries to turn back. Issues. Stock on the last lap of asking. He's picked up a meatball flag as well that he's trying to run around with. He's going to try and complete this race with that. He won't get disqualified because he has enough laps. There's not too many laps to disqualify himself from this one. It is Jordan, Thompson, Wilson Weir, Guthrie. 4 cars battling it out for the podium position here on the final lap of asking, and it is going to be Thompson who goes through because Hughes comes together with Guthrie, and they are down the order. Matthew Jordan drops down to 5th. Max Andrews is there in 6th position now. Carl Thompson holds on to 3rd ahead of Adam Wilson Weir. Just a 1/10 of a second separate them here as we head up towards the hairpin. It is going to be to the inside for Adam Wilson Weir. Thompson cannot pull back across to make this move here. Wilson Weir's going to go deep. Thompson wants to get the speed on the exit. After starting from first, he's still going to get a really good result of 4th position. For Jack Pittas, it is victory number 1. It took him almost 8 races, over 8 races since his pole position to take victory. Isaac Doble returns to the podium. Ben Oucher gets past Mark Hughes, damage on the last lap. And Adam Wilson-Weir is going to take home the final podium position for Matthew Jordan and Max Andrews. It was a race to the line. Max Andrews ahead of Jordan. Jordan tried to do the switch across. They raced to the line. But Max Andrews came over that line. 8 thousandths of a second. Oh, what a close finish that was in the end. What a race. Number 2, that all was. Let's have a look back here at what happened on the restart. Lap number 7, because there was a lot going on in all of that one. Right, this is Benjamin Gregory. Oh, sorry, that was not the button I meant to press. This was Benjamin Gregory on the restart. Of course, we saw out of that first chicane, out of the second chicane, there was a number of, look at that, just off the circuit, came back on with a slide, it was in contact, and then the accordion effect sent Clibbins around there as well. Oh, no, it wasn't Clibbins, was it? In that one. Who was that one that was caught up in that one? No, it wasn't Nick Clibbins who was caught up in that one. We then saw further issues here. Phil McDougall and Joshua Downing. So obviously this was up then into the hairpin that we saw this going around. We saw some nudging. There was the initial hit, and there was the big hit going on behind in that one as well. And then this is what happened with Drew Halloran and Nigel Stock. It was 3 wide up towards turn number 1. Stock's got the inside line. He does brush out wide into Halloran. However, obviously what Halloran then did, he's got the broken left suspension. You can see that because he's turning completely to the right. However, this is completely a choice that Halloran has made before he has then decided to escape onto the track, which is never a good look. So that is not the behaviour that we like to see here. But at the end of race number 2, let's have a look here at our results from the second race of the day. Jack Pittas, finally. How many races has it actually been? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 races since Pittas was on pole position. He finally takes race victory. Isaac Doble comes home in second with Adam Wilson-Weir in third. Carl Thompson finds himself in 4th position ahead of Max Andrews in 5th. 6th position for Matthew Jordan. 7th was for Jamie Dorey ahead of Mark Sykes. Nick Clibbins coming home in 9th position, and Lewis Mason rounding out your top 10 in the second race of the day. Ben Oucher then in 11th had a Mark Hughes. Nigel Stock from 13th. Waitons got his first points of the season in 14th had a Matt Gatter. Joshua Downing in 16th had a Phil McDougall. Benjamin Gregory in 18th. William Guthrie issues down a lap, and Drew Halloran, as we know, also out of the race in that one. What a brilliant race that was at the end of race number 2. We've still got one more to go, of course, after all of that. I would love to have a word with Jack, but he's never around in the public voice channels for me to do that, so I can't just pull him in. Instead, what we will do is have a word with one of our other drivers before we get to the end of that one. In fact, we will talk him into this one. We will go across to Ben. Ben, you cannot blame me for any commentator's curse at the end of that one. However, the thumbnail curse might be at play. What we have noticed, though, race 1 victor this season has never won race number 2, and all bar once they have gone on to win race number 3. So you've got opportunity here. Race number 3, you'll be starting about mid-pack, so there's opportunity. But before we move on to that one, race number 2, how did it go?
Could have been better. Wasn't too bad. I had decent pace, and I made up positions after the incident. But I think there was a bit of a checkup in front of Will, which I hadn't quite spied. Will had to jam his brakes on to not plow through the back of that checkup, and it backed me up into Jamie. And Jamie just slightly brushed my rear bumper, and it put me around.
Well,
but other than that, yeah, it was decent. To be fair, had a couple of issues, but can't complain too much.
11th position, still some points on the board for you, and it does mean, if my maths are correct, you'll be starting 10th in the next one, which is, of course, higher than you started this one, closer towards the front, and ahead of championship rivals behind you as well. So it does look like you could be on for a 3rd victory. It looks like it is either very easy to make your way through. We've seen some drivers fly up the order, or very difficult where they've just not been able to make the passes. How are you feeling about overtaking her?
Based on the overtakes I was able to make in race 2, I feel pretty comfortable. Should be okay, I think. Yeah, it can be difficult depending on who you're coming up to try and get by them. It all depends on how they race. If they race in the mirrors and they see you coming, then there's the ability to actually try and make passes with them. But if they can't quite race like that, if they're a little bit more focused forwards and don't necessarily see what you're doing behind, it becomes difficult because a track like this is quite tight.
Right, well, it's going to be interesting to see how you find your way through if you are able to. Good luck for race number 3. We'll see if it will be victory number 7 or whether just some good points on the board for you.
Thank you, mate. I'll see you later.
Ben Oucher there, coming home in that one in 11th after a race 1 win. Of course, he was caught up in that big wreck that pulled out the safety car for, by my reckoning, the first time this season, but I might be wrong. Right then, here from NXTGEN Racing, it is a quick pause. We are going to prepare for the 3rd race of the day. We are going to see a completely full invert of our drivers, as long as the driver was no more than 1 lap down. So I believe it will be William Guthrie on pole position. I do believe that Drew Halloran misses out on the invert because he finished 2 laps behind the race lap. Behind the lead lap, I should say. Right then, we prepare to go racing for race number 3 in about 5 minutes' time, so don't go anywhere because it is the longer race of the day, a full invert. It is going to get spicy, spicy, spicy. Right then, race number 3 coming up in just a moment's time. We'll see you then. And welcome back here to Zolder for the third and final race of the evening here for the 5th round of competition in the Next Gen Racing's Toyota GR86 Cup. In my excitement from what was an absolutely crazy race number 2, a safety car, a rollover, it had it all in that one. I forgot to talk you through the top 10 in the championship out of the second race of the evening. So here is an update of the top 10 in the championship, how the points look coming out of the second race of the day. That fight at the top closing back in once again with Pittas's first win of the season. Oucher coming home in 11th. What it does mean is that Ben Oucher has 232 points to his name. Jack Pittas 215. Adam Wilson-Weir is holding on to third position. Just 3 points, though, between himself and Isaac Doble right now. Bit of a wander back to Jamie Dory in 5th. Guthrie out of the previous race right towards the end of that one. Doesn't look like he'll be back in for this one as well. Will not move past Lee Horn in the championship, but Phil McDougall certainly has the opportunity to do so. Nick Clibbins could breach into 100 points at the end of this one as well, and Nigel Stock still keeps himself in 10th. We'll talk through the full championship order at the end of this race. However, we've still got one more race left to go here around the Zolder circuit. The sun is starting to set. It is going to be our full invert, but it should not include Drew Halloran, who finished 2 laps down. I believe that the full invert will only include drivers that are 1 lap or less behind the race leader. By the end of the race, and of course both Halloran and Guthrie out of the race. What that does mean is Guthrie is involved in the invert, but he is not racing in the third race of the day. What I think that means is that Benjamin Gregory might be on pole position for this one from the second place grid spot, but I do believe that Gregory will be starting on the front of the grid ahead of Phil McDougall. Joshua Downing looks like he could find himself way up the order in this one after getting involved in multiple instances over the course of the evening. What it does mean is Ben Oucher might actually find himself sitting in about 8th position on the grid, which will help him out severely in trying to take a race 1 and race 3 victory, which has been done every single week since round number 2. Oucher did it at Portland, 1 race 1, 1 race 3. Magello was by Doble, who won race 1 and 3. Hockenheim was by Oucher, was 1 race 1 and race 3. Zolder, Oucher 1 race 1. Can he win race number 3? We're going to find out. Benjamin Gregory is going to find himself on pole position in this final race of the day, which I was correct with 13 laps. I did 13, or did I say 14? Maybe I said 14. Benjamin Gregory is going to start on pole position in the final race of the day ahead of Phil McDougall. Matt Gatter is going to be starting from 3rd ahead of Waiton's Nigel Stock. 5th on the grid. Mark Hughes in 6th. 7th will be for Ben Oucher. 8th will be Lewis Mason ahead of Nick Clibbins. Mark Sykes in 10th position. Jamie Doyle will be starting in 11th, and Matthew Jordan will be starting alongside him on the 6th row of the grid. Max Andrews will be starting in 13th ahead of Carl Thompson. Adam Wilson-Weir from 15th. Isaac Doble from 16th. And for the first time this season, Jack Pittas race winner, well, he'll be starting in 17th at the back of the invert. Drew Halloran, the only driver to be missing out on the invert. That is because he finished 2 laps behind the race leader. So therefore does not get included in the inverted results. Right then, we prepare to go racing for the final time today. 13 laps are going to be on the board for this one, which means we're going to go for an extra 4. Of course, we lost a number of laps in race number 2 because of the safety car. Are we going to see a second safety car of the evening? Our drivers will be certainly hoping not, that they will be able to go all race long without that. Of course, drivers towards the back, though, will be looking to try and make their way up the order. 13 laps on the board here for the third and final race of the evening. And that is going to be Waiton's from 4th on the grid. who is going to jump the start. So did Lewis Mason, a couple of spaces behind as well. They have accelerated when the lights have gone up and they've gone red instead of when they have gone green. Very common mistake to do in iRacing. Everyone's done it at some point. We come through turn number 1 though, and it is 3 wide towards the front of your field. Ben Oucher in the middle of this. Stock was to the inside, Gatter was to the outside, but Ben Oucher up 4 spaces on this one. He's got Stock and Clibbins to the inside. Clibbins gets a little bit of grass, looks to try and make it 3-1. He has to back out of it though after what looked like a very aggressive move. I say looked like a very aggressive move. It was a very aggressive move. Up towards the front though, Phil McDougall is going to look to try and take the lead around the outside of Benjamin Gregory into the chicane. Gregory breaks a little bit earlier there, closes the door, and then is knocked by Lewis Mason, who has got a black flag in this race anyway. And then there's a big pile up through over the hill. More cars getting involved. That's about half your field towards the back of your the course there, getting involved in all of that one. I do believe we're going to see a safety car out of that potentially, because that was a lot of your field. They're still trying to get themselves sorted. Mark Hughes, Matt Gatter out of the circuit there as we come up towards the hairpin here. It might have sorted itself quick enough so that we don't get the safety car as we come out of the final corners here on the opening lap of Asking. Gatter, Hughes with Meatballs, Waitons, Mason with McFad. Lewis Mason has to come down pit lane, which makes that contact with Gregory even more shocking. The fact that it meant that Gregory just lost out a chance for a really good position by someone who was going to have to come down pit lane to serve a penalty anyway. There was no need for the fight. But what you can see is there is no safety car after that one, even though a lot of your field got caught up in that one. Everyone from Mark Sykes in 10th position back have been hindered by that accident. As you can see, that big gap there from Mark Sykes all the way to the back of the field. Towards your front of the field, though, they are not hindered by any of the issues. And Ben Oucher is already on looking for a win. And Max Andrews has been consistently getting some really great results today. Has already made his way up into 4th position as well. Jamie Dory found himself into the gravel in the background we saw there. He has just given up position to Benjamin Gregory, who is now trying to get anything out of this one. Remember, the top 15 score points, and that does mean that Drew Halloran actually might be on points for his first races of the season. Could he get the points in the 3rd race of the day? Not being near it in race 1, potentially could have got it in race 2 before the contact. Could he get it here in race number 3? Well, Adam Wilson-Weir is going to get past Nick Clibbins as Clibbins slows down, potentially a slowdown from the chicane, which we're seeing a lot of drivers contend with. He is still slow on the exit as well. So yes, for Nick Clibbins, it is another slowdown. We talked to him after race number 1. He complained of the slowdowns that we saw him falling down the order. He fell down the order again in race number 2. That before taking advantage of other people's issues, he ended up finishing in 9th place, of course, for Clibbins. But he would be hoping for a little bit more. Doble, the fastest man out there right now. Max Andrews, however, is all over the rear end of Nigel Stock, looking to get back onto a podium position. He managed to finish 5th in the 2nd race of the day after getting 2nd in race number 1. He has had some, well, I'd say the strongest results of the evening through both races so far. Benjamin Gregory to the inside of Drew Halloran. Remember, these are the 2 drivers that came together, I believe it was, in the previous race of Asking. Benjamin Gregory, though, keeps himself ahead for the time being. Halloran finds himself onto the gravel. That's going to invite Jamie Dory to the right-hand side here. Dory does get his way past, and Halloran has to sit in behind for the time being. Still just trying to get used to the way that these cars bump over the curbing here at Zolder, because they are very bumpy cars anyway, and then the curbing at Zolder is probably some of the most aggressive curbing there is around. Pitastav looked like he had another slowdown in all of this, so he's had to give up position. It could give Nick Clibbins position here as well as we get up towards the hairpin. That's very slow early into the corner from Matthew Jordan, but he keeps himself in 7th position. Jordan got 6th in race number 2, of course. He got 4th in race 1. He's had a couple of strong results as well. Max Andrews looking to try and get the position over Ben Oucher here for second place up towards the timing line. Pittas is the first driver outside of Klibbins, Oucher and Doble to have won since the first round of asking. Are we going to see for the first time since round 1 3 different race winners in 3 races? Because Max Andrews finds himself into second position here, potentially on the hunt for win number 1 of the season. Lewis Mason gets past Waitons, who has now come down pit lane. He needs to serve the penalty that he picked up earlier on. Ben Oucher here over the rear end of Max Andrews. He's certainly not giving up in this fight. Neither is Adam Wilson-Weir trying to find his way up as well. He's over the rear end of Nigel Stock as well, as we ride on board, in fact, with Ben Oucher as he sits behind Max Andrews, looking up at second, and then the race leader, Phil McDougall. Very nice line through the chicane and the exit for Andrews. He moved to the right, but McDougall goes defensive. Max Andrews moves to the left-hand side here. They're side by side into the hairpin. Max Andrews trying to keep the speed around the outside. What a move there from Andrews. Huge amount of speed. Ben Oucher doesn't want to give up time to Andrews, but he does back out a little bit. Andrews straight away went defensive. Moved back to the racing line there once Oucher dropped in behind McDougall. But Oucher knows he has the opportunity here to get up into second. He doesn't want to throw away a potential good result. But also, is he going to be able to find his way up to lead? He doesn't need the victories now. He just needs some strong results to take this championship. But of course, he has taken 6 wins in the opening 5 rounds at this point. McDougall pushes out wide through turn number 2. Ben Oucher tucks to the inside here. It's going to be side by side, but Oucher is going to hold the inside on Phil McDougall through turn number 3. Oucher is up into second position. Phil McDougall looks to the right-hand side. It is side by side once more between Oucher and McDougall as we get onto the brakes. Oucher, though, going to keep his go ahead. He gets a lot of the curving, and Ben Oucher! It's not gone his way! After winning race number 1, caught up in contact with Dory, he finds himself spinning too much curbing. Through the first chicane, Ben Oucher finds himself around at the first chicane, down now to 9th position. Mark Sykes, Carl Thompson, Jamie Dory, Benjamin Gregory are the gaggle of cars chasing on behind, but for Adam Wilson-Weir, he's now looking to go into second. Adam Wilson-Weir, remember, won the first race of the season all the way back at Okayama after getting pole position. Can he try to confirm this position over McDougall and hunt up towards Max Andrews at the front? The position is Wilson-Weir's. He is now on the charge to try and catch up to Max Andrews. Lights flashing from Dory, but he backs out, doesn't go for the overtake on Thompson through the alternate chicane. He does get all over the rear though, and this could be a move to the inside through the final corner for Dory. So through the first corner for Dory, he moves to the inside. It is side by side. Thompson is going to carry more speed on the outside if he can keep his foot in. He can't. Jamie Dory gets the position, and here comes Benjamin Gregory now to the inside of Thompson as well. 2 corners, Thompson loses 2 positions. That has got to be frustrating for him. Drew Halloran has been black flagged and will need to come down pit lane to serve that penalty. But as it stands, once he comes down pit lane, he'll fall behind Lewis Mason, but Halloran can still get a point in this race. That singular point will put him on the board at the end of this one. Jack Pittas looking to try and get around the outside of Nick Klibbins. It will turn to the inside as we get onto the braking zone. Pittas up to 7th after winning race number 2. He's up 10 places. So is Isaac Doble, who came 2nd in race number 2. He's up to 6th place right now, up 10 places as well. Max Andrews, though, is up 12 to the race lead. Adam Wilson-Weir is up 13 positions, but a gap to the race lead is 1.8 seconds. If Andrews can just keep it really planted here for the second half of the race. He could keep that gap nice and open, especially as Wilson Weir does have the pressure of Phil McDougall behind him at the moment as we come up towards the alternate chicane. This is Isaac Doble as well, behind Matthew Jordan as we come up towards turn number 1. Are those positions going to change here towards turn number 1? No, they are going to stay in their line for the time being. We're on the 7th of 13 laps here at Zolder for the 5th round of competition. I can't believe we're only 2 more events left in this season after this race. We head to Willow Springs in 2 weeks' time, and in 4 weeks' time we're at Interlagos for the finale of the championship. I can't believe that we are almost there already. Drew Halloran is now down pit lane serving this penalty that he has picked up. He's got a minute ahead of Waiton, so as long as he's not down pit lane for too long, he could stay in points paying positions. We return to the fight at the front. This is McDougall once again all over the rear end of Wilson Weir. It won't do anything as there's a little bit of a nudge between Doble and Pittas, and it doesn't look like Pittas is happy with the defensive move of Doble, but Jack is still all over the rear end here, looking to try and get up the order for 6th position. He sticks to the right hand side. It'll give him the inside of the hairpin. He's going to keep it nice and tight. Doble keeps the outside line, can carry more speed, of course, on the wider line. It also sets him up to the inside of the left-hander into the chicane, and Pittas is going to drop in behind Doble for the time being for 6th place as they come up towards the timing line. And they are still in single file here, but you can see how close Pittas is all over the rear end, just up ahead of them. Matthew Jordan getting past Nigel Stock for 4th position, and here goes Phil McDougall. He stayed on the rear end of Wilson Weir since Wilson Weir was able to make the overtake, and now he's been able to fight back at it. What this does mean is Max Andrews now has a 3-second advantage at the front of the order here. He is looking like this is going to be a nice victory for himself, and it will mean for the first time since round number 1 we're going to have 3 different race winners in the 3 races, which is absolutely brilliant. Always love to see a mix of drivers finding their way towards the very front. We've had familiar names up at the front, but to find their way to the very front of the field, it's been a bit of a mixed bag here today, which is always brilliant to see. Nick Clibbins gets past Pittas, who looks like he picked up yet another slowdown in this race as he falls further and further back in this one. As that was also Clibbins getting past Isaac Doble, who I think has just picked up a slowdown in the same chicane as well. And Halloran, after serving the penalty in this one and coming out in 15th position, Halloran has fallen down into 16th position. It looks like on the exit of pit lane here, something has happened for Drew Halloran. It looks like he might have just gone a little bit slow maybe on the exit. No, he's just gone a bit... It's a little bit of a slow exit from Halloran. That driver just up ahead of him was Waiton's, just 5 seconds up the road. So if something happens to Waiton's here, it could help Halloran get first points. But Halloran is adhering to blue flags, making sure he stays out of the way of other drivers out there, which is exactly what you want to do. But he doesn't want to give up too much time. He'll want to try and stay within a decent gap to Waiton's. This is the fight for second. McDougall on the inside, Wilson Weir on the outside. And that is going to be a big slide there for McDougall as he catches a lot of the curbing. We saw Outra go around after hitting that curbing just a little bit too hard early on in this race. Matthew Jordan just behind, though, is looking to try and get himself onto the podium. He was 4th in race number 1. He wasn't quite there. It was 6th last race. Can he find himself onto the podium here? That is going to be McDougall off the circuit. Wilson Weir side by side, and that is going to be, for just a brief moment, Matthew Jordan making it 3 wide. He stays behind though, looking to follow Adam Wilson Weir on the inside line. McDougall stuck on the outside, but can carry more speed on that smoother, wider line. You don't have to turn your wheel as much, so you can get the power down a lot earlier and carry more speed through the corner. It means McDougall holds on right now. Nigel Stock, who's been involved in a number of incidents this evening, in 5th position at the moment. It's where he started, it's where he maintains, and he can see this fight for second, and he's probably got his fingers crossed. Can something happen ahead of me that doesn't involve me? Well, this is McDougall trying around the outside of Wilson Weir, and once again Matthew Jordan just pokes his nose in to say, look, do you want to go 3 wide? No, not right now, with 4 laps to go. But Jordan is to the inside of Adam Wilson Weir as we come up towards turn number 3, and Matthew Jordan makes his way up into the podium paying position, but Wilson Weir carries the speed. Is that going to be Nigel Stock? For a moment it looked like he looked to the outside, try and make it 3 wide. He knew it was never going to work. He backed out of that one. It is going to be side by side heading into the corner. A lot of curbing on the first part of the corner for Wilson Weir. A lot of curbing for Jordan on the second part. It slows them down, allows Doble, Clibbins, even Pittas to get onto the rear of them now. It does allow Phil McDougall to pull open a gap once more. Max Andrews is 6 seconds up the road here. He is absolutely dominating this 3rd and final race of the day. Bearing in mind he started 13th on the road. There's been no safety car. He has just been able to move his way up the order and has done a fantastic job at doing so. As Wilson Weir needs to go defensive from Jordan here. Doble gets past Nigel Stock just behind as well. Ben Oucher is even catching up onto the rear end of this one after going around early doors, falling down to 9th position. He could find some positions late on in this one, but for Adam Wilson Weir, he is still trying to hold on to podium playing positions. Jamie Dory is on the rear end of Benjamin Gregory. Remember, Gregory was up in 2nd position on the grid for this one. It was contact with Lewis Mason that sent him around and down the order. He's trying to keep it ahead of Benjamin Gregory as it stands. Isaac Doble gets to the inside of Matthew Jordan through turn number 2. Jordan on the wider line here is going to open the door for Nigel Stock to try and refight and gain positions here for 5th place. Stock gets up the order, and Jack Pittas just behind now thinking, what can I do with this one? Where can I make my overtake? As that was Ben Oucher kicking up a bit of gravel and dropping a bit further back from this train once more as we go into the chicane, and that is a number of cars going 4 wheels into the air there. Matthew Jordan gets past Nigel Stock, Nick Kibbins gets past Jack Pittas, but that must have been a very uncomfortable ride, and not knowing if you're actually going to face the right way once you landed, because once you get these cars into the air, who knows what's going to happen once the suspension drops beneath you and well, not collapses, but as it bends beneath you. Sometimes these cars do just get thrown off in unpredictable ways. Matthew Jordan gets, Nick Clemens gets past Nigel Stock, as Stock has to slow down after cutting the course, and that is contact. Benjamin Gregory and Jamie Dory come together, and Benjamin Gregory's car is absolutely smashed in all of that one. A massive hit with the wall for Benjamin Gregory. Look at that. It looks like a little bit of a nudge with Jamie Dory on the exit. What happened here? Dory on the wider line. He turns into the inside. It's a nudge on the rear quarter panel. It sends Gregory into the wall. A big hit into the wall for Benjamin Gregory. Do you know, not even 6 seconds earlier than that, Lewis Mason came down pit lane. It said coming out of pit lane, it said that he had an accident. It looks like it wasn't an accident. It was just coming out of pit lane for him. Benjamin Gregory is down pit lane after what has been a very unfortunate final race of the day. Jamie Dory finds himself into a top 10 position following that, but under attack now from Mark Sykes. Adam Wilson Weir has been able to pull away a little bit from the fighting behind. He has closed the gap once more to Phil McDougall, and as we approach the final lap of the day, Max Andrews leads by 7 seconds, but The rest of the podium, I would say right now, is very much undecided. Jamie Dory finds himself off at the first chicane. This is how that one occurred here. Finds himself off at the second part of the first chicane there into the grass. As Phil McDougall has actually had a big issue coming through. He's had a slowdown for Phil McDougall. He's had to give up time to Wilson Weir and Isaac Doble. It means Adam Wilson Weir now onto the podium. Isaac Doble looking to try and get second position again. He pushes onto the grass though from Doble out to the final corner, and as the white flag waves, Max Andrews almost 8 seconds up the road isn't going to be involved in this at all, as that was McDougall to the inside of Doble. He was not waiting around, and that for a moment was Matthew Jordan looking to get at the inside of Doble. That was a nudge. Jordan backed out of it. Doble went to the inside of McDougall, who has decided to go very aggressive in this final race of the day in his defence and doing a great job at the attack through on Doble. That is going to be Jordan onto the gravel once more. It's going to invite Nick Clibbins to the right-hand side here. Clibbins now up into 5th position. Jordan down into 6th place. Through the chicane, can everyone get through without slowdowns, without finding their car into the wall? Jack Pittas and Ben Oucher are fighting it out for 8th position here. Winners of race 1 and race number 2. Oucher on the right hand side will keep it to the inside as we get onto the brakes through the second chicane, and it is going to be Oucher ahead of Pittas up into 8th position as we head up towards the hairpin, the final true overtaking opportunity, and Isaac Doble tried it on McDougall. And Doble falls down the order. He'll lose out to Stock. Will he lose out to Oucher, who now goes to the inside? As this is now going to be Clibbins getting to the inside of McDougall through the final chicane. And it is going to be Max Andrews, your winner, ahead of Adam Wilson Weir. A drag race behind Clibbins. Comes on ahead of McDougall, Jordan, then Stock, Oucher, then Doble, then Pittas behind. An absolutely massive send from Isaac Doble on the last lap of asking. Jamie Dory backs out at the end. It gives position to Carl Thompson. I'm not too sure why there, but they do swap position in that one. Maybe Dory picked up a slowdown through the final chicane that he had to give up right at the very end, which would be a real shame. What is a great news for Drew Halloran, he does get onto points paying positions in the final race of the day. He takes home 13th. Lewis Mason demoted to 15th due to a penalty after crossing the line in 13th position. That penalty on the last lap knocks him down into 15th. Still points for him at the end, and unfortunately for Benjamin Gregory, no points for him. But for the first time since the opening round of the season, it is 3 different race winners, and it is new race winners in Jack Pittas race number 2 and Max Andrews, your race winner in race number 3 for a very dominant 8.3 seconds. Let's have a look then at your results in the final race of the day. And it was Max Andrews taking victory ahead of Adam Wilson Weir. Nick Clibbins coming home in 3rd position with Phil McDougall behind, ahead of Matthew Jordan and Nigel Stock. Ben Oucher came home in 7th, just ahead of Isaac Doble, and ahead of Jack Pittas. And Doble, of course, going for that move for 2nd, demoting himself going for the move for 3rd, I should say, demoting himself all the way down to 8th. Clibbins getting past McDougall right at the very end for the podium. Mark Sykes, so rounding out your top 10, a great result for him in race number 3 of the day. Carl Thompson took home 11th out of Jamie Dory. A lap down was Drew Halloran, Mark Hughes and Lewis Mason, but they all do get points in the last race of the day. Benjamin Gregory 2 laps down. Waiton's out of the race early, as was Gatta on lap number 18. What a fantastic evening of racing that has been, and this is how it impacts the championship at the end of round number 5. Ben Oucher holds a lead of 19 points over Jack Pittas, 241 points to his name. Pittas having 222. Adam Wilson-Weir has closed in towards that fight, 201 points for him. Isaac Doble with 185. Certainly don't discount him yet, but he is a very far favourite. We then have Phil McDougall in 6th ahead of Lee Horn as they've swapped around positions at the dying stages of this one. William Guthrie in 8th ahead of Nick Clemens. And Max Andrews, after joining us last week, has managed to break his way all the way into the top 10. What a great evening of racing for him. Nigel Stock finds his way into 11th, Alan McCain in 12th, and again another great evening of racing for Matthew Jordan. He finds himself 13th in the championship ahead of Benjamin Gregory. Mark Kent in 15th ahead of Ross Gillette. Carl Thompson in 17th, Joshua Downing in 18th ahead of Lewis Mason, and it's Michael Wade rounding out your top 20 right now. Mark Sykes sits in 21st ahead of Mark Hughes and Matt Gatter. Adrian Hernandez in 24th ahead of Jack Brown, Archie Bennett and Dan Beckett. Drew Halloran gets points on the board in the final race of the day. 28th position in the championship ahead of Jonathan Berry. Waiton's got points in race number 2. He gets his way into 30th in the championship and the back of the championship, in fact, in that one with 30 drivers. What a fantastic evening of racing it has been all around then. And as I said earlier, we will quickly have a word with one of our drivers at the end of race number 3, just as we were a bit delayed on our launch at the start of this one. So we only have time for one quick conversation. And in fact, let's go for a quick conversation with a driver who put on probably the best defence that we have seen all evening long. Phil, you managed to come home 4th position in the end, but you had an absolutely fantastic fight trying to hold on to 2nd. A great result. You started, of course, in 2nd position in the race, and you just held on to it. It was a great run.
Yeah, it was a bit of a crazy race throughout, to be honest. I was just trying to hold on to some kind of podium position. Had a great battle there with Adam Wilson-Weir, I believe it was, throughout most of the race. But then Isaac, I managed to pull a really good move on Isaac, I thought, on the last lap, going into turn 1. And he went for a bit of a send later on, and I think he sent himself off a little bit. I tried to cut back, but ultimately lost out on the podium. But P4, it was a good race, so I enjoyed it.
It was absolutely fantastic to watch your move into turn number 1, as you say, then the dive into chicane that knocked Doble all the way back to 8th position. Of course, it's a bit of a mixed bag, isn't it? When you start at the front of race 3, it's because you've not had the best of race 2s, but it's a lovely way to end the evening of racing. We head across in 2 weeks' time. We head to Willow Springs, which isn't a circuit that many drivers normally head to. So how are you feeling about that? It's a much faster circuit than this one. There's only really one heavy braking zone, I would say, around that track. Very different style of racing. What do you think of it?
Yeah, I must admit I'm a little bit apprehensive about the next race because, Willow Springs, as you say, it's not a circuit that most people have raced at a lot. So I also believe, well, I have raced there, but it's very narrow. So it could be pretty good fun. Bit spicy.
Indeed. Well, I have to say, congratulations, Stay, on the 4th position. I know it wasn't quite the podium, but you had a fantastic race out there. Well done, Phil.
Cheers, Joe. Appreciate it.
And Phil McDougall there, coming home 4th in the end of that one. As say, it wasn't because he had the best of race number 2, 17th in race number 2 for McDougall. But we do have to remember back, race number 1, he did get 8th position. It was a nice run for him. We'll be back then, like I say, in 2 weeks' time, though. May 12th at Willow Springs. Make sure you're joining us for that one here at Next Gen Racing and Joseph Wright Broadcasting. Of course, Next Gen Racing will be back again live on Thursday for the GT3 Championship. They'll be back again next week as well. So it'll be Alex Everett to join him live on Thursday for the GT3s. Next Tuesday, make sure that you are joining Paul Walsh for the NXTCCs as we head into the next round of competition. Join us again in 2 weeks' time for the next round of the Toyota GR86 Cup over on Joseph Wright Broadcasting. Though, make sure you're joining us this Friday. We've got the TCRs back out again as we've got some toy and car action in 2 separate leagues, the VCR and of of the SRL as well. Of course, we've got no broadcast over the bank holiday weekends. Make sure you are joining us on Friday, because it will be 7 days before you see us again here at Joseph Wright Broadcasting. We take a very rare break over on the channel. That being said, though, you will be able to catch up with loads of highlight videos that will be published over the bank holiday weekend as well. So make sure you're heading across to the Joseph Wright Broadcasting YouTube channel and getting yourself subscribed over there if you haven't done so already. Right then, thank you so much for watching here at Next Gen Racing and Joseph Wright Broadcasting. We hope you have a fantastic evening that is left of it anyway. You enjoy your upcoming week. You joining us at the GT3s and of course the NXTCCs as well. But until next time, I hope you have a wonderful evening. Thank you so much for watching and goodbye.